Good evening, everyone. This is episode 47 of FPL the Onion. It's myself, Shlee, and back with the usual lineup. Nick has returned from skiing, being ill, and various other things I can't remember, but it's probably been about two calendar months.
Going to the World Cup.
that we recorded. How's it going, Nick?
Yeah, all right, thanks, Shlee. Yeah, it's been a long time since I did one of these, but the fact that we're at episode 47, and I guess we've done about one a week or just shy of, we were saying that we're kind of getting close to the year of starting it. So yeah, good to be back. The World Cup break kind of hit me for six a little bit with FPL, and I think just struggling a little bit, not having a great season, and kind of everything I seem to touch going badly. I actually quite enjoyed the World Cup break. I missed chatting to you on here, but yeah, I didn't mind having a break from FPL. I didn't watch an enormous amount of the World Cup. The games that I did see were good. I think the standard of the games were great, and the kind of even just things like the added on time being super long was fun. But yeah, I wasn't looking forward to FPL coming back that much, to be honest. But yeah, I'm sure we can kind of get into a bit later about what a strange season it's been and kind of how small the pool of players is now. But yeah, I'm just delighted that me doing badly in FPL has kind of coincided with United suddenly turning back into a decent side. And obviously, if they're 1-0 up in this game against Palace tonight, but if they go on and win it, they're second with other teams with games to play. But I've been enjoying United's resurgence, and ETH is doing a good job. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, to timestamp, we're recording during that Palace game. It's must be about half an hour to go, right? And yeah, Bruno has done his thing in we were saying in a Gameweek 20-ish double game week again. It was last season, I think, that he got 20 points, I think, across the 2 game weeks. Because I remember I had Ronaldo. It was either that or the season before, and Ronaldo got 4. So yeah, we were just saying that Andy, Let's Talk FPL did it with Bruno again this week, going from Mount. I was looking like, how did he go to that midfielder? Yeah, you're right, there's a small pool of players, but also you see quite a lot of good scores this week, and you realise that a lot of people played hits, but actually teams have gone in quite different directions, and mine's definitely been burnt on that. Hence the name of the episode. Not too happy about how it's going.
Yeah. No, that was a great move to get Bruno in. I didn't even really think about it, but I wouldn't be surprised now with Ronaldo gone if he hits a real purple patch. And I think I listened to Andy's video today, and he was saying that he was thinking of kind of maybe taking him out in the next few weeks, maybe down to another Arsenal midfielder to allow a defender up to Trent. But I think Bruno could be a pretty good differential for a few weeks yet. And I think people like me will stay loyal with, the Salahs and the De Bruynes for a while yet, especially as they've got doubles. But I think United are probably going to have a double. Is it 22 or 23? So
yeah, United double 22, and Andy was tweeting tonight about probably getting excited about holding Bruno for that. So unless the plans change today, maybe the Bruno goal's going to cement that a little bit. But getting Trent, that sounds pretty out there.
Well, I think he was saying in the context of if there's a Liverpool double in like 25, I think he was saying that might be his route to get Trent in, and he might keep Salah for that purpose. So
oh yeah, there's that potential. What was it? Because of the Wolves Liverpool game, or the double would be Liverpool Wolves. That's coming up soon. Maybe that's a double, but I don't know. I've got no Liverpool at the moment. It was actually for the first time quite mad.
I know, but can you? I mean, and that's what. Again, you kind of think about how weird this season's been. At the start of the season, you'd have been like, I think I started with Trent, Robertson, and Salah.
Yep.
A lot of, it took a long time for people to be like, okay, this Liverpool team isn't going to suddenly turn this around.
Yeah.
United got absolutely smashed in the first 2 games. I thought I was really smart going to the season with Rashford, but backfired massively. Took him out for the Liverpool game, even though I thought he might score. He did. He's now gone on. His form is absolutely insane now with Ronaldo going, I think. And obviously the World Cup as well. But yeah, it's just, and then, Newcastle as well. I didn't see many teams with Trippier in from the start. I certainly didn't think about him for a few weeks. And I think we were saying before this, he's blanked in 3 game weeks out of whatever it be, 18, 19 with the postponements. So pretty insane.
Incredible. There was a good one earlier with you probably had the same on Planet FPL. We were saying, we both listened to it, that Trippier's, his bonus is 1 less than Robertson's, when Robertson got the highest defender total ever in a season. So he's just hoovering it up with his crosses and his tackles or whatever.
Yeah, but what is his ownership now? Because I'm pretty sure his effective ownership every week is near 100%. But is he owned by like 90% of the game?
Nah, wait, I think like what was it? Jesus was the highest on, just touched 70, didn't he? So his
And that was
overall
the
ownership
record, was it?
I think so. So it's probably like 50 or something. But in the top 10k, it's 99.6 or something stupid, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Same with Rashford now. So
but you'd think, I mean, barring an injury, he's going to absolutely smash that defender record, isn't he?
68 is on now. So, I mean, he must be getting close to the record as well. But it was all about Jesus, wasn't it? Game week 1, everyone was saying he was the one that was going to get all the records.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or it's just gone quiet on Twitter, the fact that Haaland's on 85%. Team selected by, apparently. So I suppose everyone's got him and Trippier.
Yeah, we're sat here talking about Jesus and Trippier.
Yeah, the battle for second. Haaland's up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, shorter podcast. We're obviously doing that because we've spent 6 minutes rabbiting on about stuff.
We've only got another 14 minutes to go, Shlee. We've got a lot to cover.
But yeah, that is the kind of plan. But obviously, the fact we've not really spoken too much recently, we might go a little bit longer this week. So yeah, crazy stuff happening this week. I've got a little list of stuff before we move into the usual slides. Mitrovic's penalty miss. You not an owner, are you? So not immediately raw with that, I guess.
No, and I still haven't seen it actually. I was driving on I think the Fulham game was on Saturday, wasn't it? Was it 3 p.m. game? I think I read about it later, but I haven't seen it. But I just think it's brutal for owners, the fact that it actually went in, like it flew in as well, and people are still like, oh no. And then Suj and James on Planet FPL were talking about the fact that in Sky, Nick Pope still gets the points for the penalty save, even though he got, it went in. Pretty brutal. But yeah, I was, again, I got really lucky with that, with taking Mitrovic out, because if he'd scored that penalty and got bonus, I'd have been annoyed. But
did you take him out last week?
Yeah, I took him out for Kane.
Oh wow, yeah, got you moved here.
I wanted Kane for the double, and I'm just sick of not having. I just looked at my Game Week 1 team before this, just to kind of see how butthurt I am about it. But actually, I had Kane in Game Week 1, so I'm like, oh yeah, that was a great decision. But I didn't have Haaland, so I had Kane instead of Haaland.
Yeah, well, you were doing that Game Week 1 to 2 switch, weren't you? You gambled on that good first fixture. What was it, West Ham away? That Haaland, everyone perceived that as quite tricky, but he got a brace or something, I think.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, isn't it? Because you think like West Ham haven't pulled up any trees this season, so it just, with hindsight, that fixture looks a bit easier.
On the back of there, last season that was a tough fixture.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I wanted Kane, and I think I'll try and keep him for the rest of the season if he doesn't just suddenly start blanking, because he's just been so consistent, hasn't he? But I think the smart people were going for Bruno a little bit cheaper. I say I didn't consider him at all, actually. I did look at it when I was thinking. I think maybe I looked at it even during the restart, because he's just that different price point, isn't he? So you can kind of,
yeah, you can see why Andy went for Mount. If you've got someone like that, a bit of Deadwood, it's easier to get to, but it'd be quite tricky. Most others, I suppose you could maybe have looked at it from Foden. You've got your team up now, but
well, that's the thing, because I had 3 million in the bank going into that game week, or going into the last game week, and so yeah, I could have very easily done something like Foden up. But again, I'm not going to. I wasn't going to take Foden out before a double. I don't.
Yeah, and so. You've got Martial, so you've actually got triple United. You'd have to move the assets.
That's
around.
It. That was it. Well, I've only got triple United after this week though, because I brought Shaw in. So one of the things I was looking at was keeping Cancelo instead of swapping him for Shaw, and then potentially bringing in another United. But I didn't consider it for very long, in all honesty. So
might as well just move on to your moves this week. Actually, it looks like you're going to probably be up on this, especially if Shaw keeps a clean sheet in the next 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, I hope so, because again, I was quite lucky on the weekend in that when I saw Cancelo was starting, I was like, oh no, that's not good. When I saw that City were 1-0 up after 60, 70 minutes, I was like, oh no, this is going to be horrendous.
Yeah.
Cancelo's going to get a big score, and I was kind of waiting for an assist to kind of drop onto my phone as well. I couldn't watch that game because I was driving, but yeah, I think I will be slightly up on it. I was lucky, obviously White didn't have a fantastic fixture, but Arsenal were utterly dominant in that game. I did actually watch a bit of that game on the Sunday afternoon and just thought Arsenal looked amazing. But I think a lot of people were trying to not have White play this week just because they thought they'll concede. But he's been brilliant for me having him. And then De Bruyne obviously getting the assist was nice. Kane hasn't done anything yet, but hopefully he'll get something against City. But I think even just keeping Kepa as well. There was a time where I was looking at, I think maybe that's what I was looking at, is maybe not having De Bruyne and maybe having Fernandes or something, and then having Ederson instead of Kepa. But obviously got very lucky with that big score from Kepa. So yeah, hopefully I'll be up on the 8 points, but it could definitely have been better. But we'll see. I mean, obviously the other thing we haven't mentioned at all is that I triple captained Haaland. So if he doesn't do anything against Spurs, then that is a huge waste of that chip, and I'll be waiting for other people to either use it on him or Rashford or somebody else and absolutely smash me. Even, if Newcastle get a double with a couple of decent home fixtures, somebody like Trippier would probably be quite a good triple captain as well, wouldn't he, given his consistency.
Now, fair play for playing White, though, because a lot of people didn't. I mean, your defence there is covering, well, maybe Kepa's the slightly odd one, but those three there cover the majority of the clean sheets. I mean, there are actually 7 this week, which I think most people probably bench some, and obviously got Bueno on the bench, but unlikely to have played him. You're looking pretty decent with those moves. I mean, I did a -8, but I am way down on my balance, so to probably come out break even or above on that is decent. And you're well inside the top 1.4 million in the world now, so it's all good news.
Well inside. Cheeky devil. Yeah, I'm really struggling. I think I was thinking about this the other day, like, if I could somehow, if the goal was like a top 100k finish now, that's like being like 140,000th and finishing in the top 10k. So, very, 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 very difficult to do. I just don't. Yeah, I'd like to finish in the top million, Shlee, if you can give me that now.
Well, if I do find time in the next couple of weeks international break, I would like to do the old the graph that we made with us versus the other content creators like Ben Crellin. I think is the top of the 15 or something we were comparing last year. But a lot of people are struggling, aren't we? Mark's like still 2 million. I think ours is like 2 million or something. Obviously Andy's doing well, but it's quite tricky. I think Zoff is still plodding nicely, like 200, 300Ks. He's very solid. So you didn't have Saka. Obviously, that second assist sort of shenanigans, you weren't affected by that, but you've still got the Arsenal spot ready for their double coming up. I suppose Foden's probably the next one to think about moving, isn't he? Oh well, sorry, you've already done it, haven't you?
So I've already made my transfers because and again, it just kind of shows the way I'm playing the season. We'll come on to it later. Let's look at your game week.
Yeah, brilliant. I'd rather not. 41 -8. I think my rank has nearly doubled. 400 plus K now. I think I'm 20 points down on these moves, including the -8 and including the fact that I definitely would have played White because I only had 3 defenders in my old setup.
Oh no!
So it's been pretty bad. Kepa, obviously, he had his 10 and did his 5 saves. I mean, I was just a bit sick of him and obviously wanted to not mess about with the City defence, and I've got to now, I think, keep the bet I've made there for their next double. So hopefully that pays off over the next few, but doesn't look like it has at the moment. James, I wanted just a bit more bench cover, so getting rid of him seemed a good idea. I had 2 free, so 4 transfers just seemed to be one of those big sweep up lots of different problems in one.
How long had you kept James for after his injury? Because he was injured. Wasn't he injured before the World Cup?
No, he played, what was it, 50 minutes or something of the first game and pulled up after the World Cup. It was a classic, everyone's going to come back with him and not learn.
That was it.
And then the smart people did him to Shaw that week. The really smart people did it the next week to get Shaw's 15 points. And then, of course, I did it this week to avoid the 15 points.
That was it. I must have done, because I'm an absolute sucker for James. I can't even remember whether I had him after the World Cup. I think I did. What was the first game week after World Cup? 17. Yeah. Of course I had him. 52 minutes.
52,
yeah,
right.
Beautiful. That was the week that Cancelo got 22 minutes as well.
Right. Okay.
No, my post World Cup team was terrible. Anyway, carry on.
And then Cancelo looked like a rotation risk and so much money. Thought I'd deal with that, and obviously Darwin was flagged because I think this week I would have had, having done no transfers. I'm not sure I would have had a bench. Yeah, I'd have had James, Darwin, and Patterson on there. And I would have had Cancelo. So I was definitely going to make a -4, but yeah, that about an hour before deadline turned into a -8. Obviously Edison's not done anything yet. Doherty has not either, and blanked White coming off. Sure, looks like hopefully he's going to keep a clean sheet, but definitely too late to his 15 points from last week, which is annoying. And Kane is just another one of those where I just thought I'm going to get to the end of the season and not having owned Kane at all. And he's on 15 goals, and yeah, he's got a tricky double, but he's been carrying Spurs. But looks like maybe they're going to struggle this week. So I'm tempted maybe to ditch him after next week. I know the smart sort of money is on rolling this week to get that information for the upcoming doubles, and then maybe move him on after his Fulham game next week. But yeah, 20 points, I mean, it's just horrible, and you don't obviously sort of calculate that as you're going through the week, but you get a feeling of, oh, this is not good. Kepa's just saved 5 shots and is going to get 3 bonus, and I've got rid of him. All the people I bought in have blanked. So pretty sickening really. And it's sort of hovering about 100 to 200k and thinking, at some point I can make my move. And I was also thinking I was playing a bit safe, so trying to do something a bit maverick and get all these doubles in, but it's so far not happened.
Yeah, and I almost went for Doherty as well instead of Shaw, because I was thinking, he's got the double. He's just did he get a goal in the last game before that? I think
Doherty got 14 points against Forest last week.
That was it. Yeah, and yet I guess the issue with Spurs, and this is probably the lesson, isn't it? And it's probably the lesson for me, even on the Haaland triple captain, is it's not just about players. And I know obviously he'd gotten points, but Spurs generally are not performing that well, and certainly not that well defensively. And they've got Lloris in goal, who I think is just an absolute liability, to be honest. Even the first goal he conceded, or was it the second against Arsenal, where
first, yeah, sure,
just goes straight through him.
Yeah,
just horrendous. But it's the same with Haaland. Like, I was looking at the fact that Haaland had got, whatever it was, 5 attacking returns in the last game against United, and I think he scored against Spurs as well. But he's not in form now, is he? He's in pretty horrendous form. And obviously everyone thought, oh, the World Cup, he's going to be rested, but he's just not on form. So it was a bit of a silly move to triple captain him, really, when he just isn't in form. So
it was. A lot of people did fall into that as well, though. The whole the narrative of City, what was it? They blew away Chelsea 4-0. I don't think Haaland played. He came on, didn't they? They looked amazing. So they were off form in the league, but they weren't completely off form. But yeah, that sort of rhythm over the World Cup in Salah's been the same, hasn't he? He had his rest and he's been useless. So there's a lot to be said for rhythm. And sorry, Doherty, Palace last week, it was his 14 points, not Forest.
It must have been hard for those players to sit at home and watch the World Cup, don't you think? As in, to watch like the best players in the world playing in this tournament and they're not there. That must be hard to do.
Yeah, I don't know whether can't think of any other examples where big stars like that have missed out on what they've done after a tournament. But yeah, it looks so obvious in hindsight now, and obviously we'll see what happens in the next game. But yeah, 2 tricky fixtures. The big thing for me as well was I think I fell into a little bit of the Haaland is the best player in this game this season, so I have to triple captain him, and therefore this is the week to do that. And I did also think, well, I don't know if I don't do it this week, when else would I triple captain? And obviously that isn't an essential reason to do it this week, but I did think, well, when else could I do it? And obviously now we're staring at maybe a good one in 22 for United, but I think I was a bit worried there wouldn't be another good option, which
there is always another opportunity. But I agree with you in that you just look at it and think, I think the thing that swayed me into doing it was that I thought he would play both games. Whereas in the future they might have a double and the turnaround, because the turnaround's 5 days, wasn't it, between the games?
Yeah.
So I just thought he will play both games. I still think he will play the Spurs game. He could get a couple of returns in the Spurs game, and then it looks totally different, doesn't it? So
yeah, and he had a good one on his knee jerk of what would you accept Haaland to get and think it was successful. What would you say?
I think I think if he just gets a goal, I mean, the thing is, I'd take anything, to be honest, because if he could just blank again,
And
couldn't he?
you
But
take any return.
yeah, I
Yeah,
would literally take any return.
I probably would as well. I mean, I'd probably say I'm happy with. I think he was saying another 11 points, Andy. I'd probably say another 9. Like if it gets to double digits, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, he thing is though, it's almost getting to the point where he just needs one to go in off his shin, doesn't he, to kind of just get back.
Yeah,
going again. At the start of the season, it looked like he couldn't miss. But yeah, he hasn't looked great. So
yeah. Right, let's move on. Quick look at what's going on in the FPL the Onion League. Mark Bleakley is up to 155th in the world. Have you
wow.
kept in touch with what he's been doing? I think he was 250 last week, and he's having a decent week again this week. He's in, well, there you go. Sorry, low 60s. But yeah,
I listened to you guys. I listened to your pod last week with Tom. Thank you again to Tom for filling in. But yeah, you guys talking about. I mean, that's just an absolutely amazing season, isn't it? So well done, Mark.
Yeah, keep it up, Mark. I mean, yeah, he's second in the Black Box League. Like he's up there with having a great season. And I think Bogdan Petrovic there moving up second. What a week, 72. But he's more than 100 points behind Mark. So he's absolutely flying.
He
I
can
think
still catch him. He can still catch him. He can.
Good to, yeah. But I think Bogdan is like 130k in the world. So he's doing decent, but Mark's absolutely flying. So it's pretty cool to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, Bogdan had Rashford captain, Wilson up front for a cheeky assist, Odegaard. He's going to get Bueno off his bench because Cucurella didn't get points.
Rashford captain. What a lovely move.
Yeah.
Although he missed out on Rashford's assist, didn't he, for the Bruno goal? It's a bit unfortunate.
Why? Well, because it shouldn't have been a goal.
Yeah, we were talking before, weren't we? I even as a United
sorry,
fan,
right. I actually thought he got given something for that, but no, he didn't. Sorry,
he didn't.
literally
That,
stepped over.
it's a terrible joke. He, yeah, even as a United fan, delighted that goal was given. If that goal had been given for City, I'd have been furious. I mean, there's no way that is a goal.
Yeah,
it's silly. I can't believe in this day and age where we've got VAR, which is supposed to be foolproof. The fact that is given is a joke.
Yeah,
but there we go.
Yeah, Rashford with 13 at the moment. He's going to get 3 from tonight, I suppose, isn't he? What was I going to say? But you look at, that was so close margins there. I mean, some people were triple captain Rashford this week, right? But he nearly went off in the first half, didn't he? It looked like Anthony was going to come on for him, and then he just soldiered on. And Ten Hag's been saying about him being a soldier and trying to play through niggles and stuff. Well, Casemiro, a yellow card. He's going to miss the Arsenal game.
Is he?
He's tweeting away.
Oh, that's horrendous. That's really annoying. He's been absolutely brilliant since he's come in.
Yeah. Right, so quick look at just some talking points. I thought we'd run through this, and then we can look at our teams. Happy with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
So blanks upcoming. I didn't put the Ben Crellin picture you sent earlier, but I think if we look up to 28 with the ticker, we can probably summarise that. It looked like there would be doubles in 21 possibly, which is sort of still reflected in the ticker here with 21D at the top in orange, but it doesn't look like that's the case now this week. I think it's too late to announce anything, isn't it? But 22 looks like a double, likely with United and Leeds having a fixture. 23 is obviously confirmed with Arsenal and City, and I definitely need a third Arsenal, I think, for that. And then 24 is normal, which should be a normal week amongst loads of unusual ones, because 25 is then going to be a small blank with whoever reaches the Carabao Cup final. And then 26 might be a double. That's the Liverpool and Wolves one that people are talking about. Low probability at the moment. 27 is a normal one, and then 28 I've not even sort of put them in yet, but that's a big blank. So there's a lot happening over the next 7 weeks. Blanks and doubles coming up.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I've tried to learn from Gameweek 12 to an extent, in that I think I was we've discussed this, but I was far too focused on
that 1 week.
The fact that City and Arsenal were blanking, and I was just like, right, I need to take out my Arsenal players. I'll bench some City players. I should have been doing the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to just try and I'm not having a great season. I'm sure it's not going to finish that amazingly either, but I just want to focus on getting good players from the best teams. So hence my transfers this week.
Very focused on the top of the league there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Stay
one of the
tuned for
reasons
insight.
why I haven't been doing that well is that, I think when Arsenal started well, I think I got in Jesus and Zinchenko. I don't think Zinchenko was the right one. And it's again just me just looking at who scores well in the first couple of weeks and getting them in. I should have been bringing in Gabriel or I mean, obviously, what's the other Arsenal defender called whose name escapes me at the moment?
Tomiyasu? White?
No, the guy who got he scored really well, but he got I think he got did he get 2 own goals in the first few games or?
Oh, what? Who partners Gabriel at the back? Sorry,
Yeah, what's his name? Well, I can't think of his
Martini.
name.
I can't either.
This is great. We're a podcast who don't know the players in the team.
But anyway, sorry. What you regret not jumping on that earlier?
Yeah, just not having the best Arsenal
Saliba.
players. What's that? Sorry,
Saliba.
that's it, of course. But yeah, not having Saliba or Gabriel, and they've obviously scored really well as well. And I've got White now, and he's doing really well. But there was a time where people just thought he's coming out of the team, so I didn't kind of jump straight on him. But I've tried to rectify that with a couple of getting myself back up to 3 Arsenal players, which I obviously haven't had since trying to prepare for game week 12, and we're now game week 20 or whatever. So
yeah,
pretty bad, really.
That's the one regret I got for this week, where I had the opportunity to sort of do a lot, and I went quite not differential, but quite double focused, and yet
yes.
the safe move would have been, oh, Newcastle are keeping all these clean sheets, 11 and 12 or whatever it is for Trippier. Probably should double up on that, and Arsenal play their players because they're been top of the league. I think could have gone safer, and the one week where I kind of didn't, it's really burned me, which is a bit annoying.
And that's the thing, you see, because I just it probably wasn't sensible to bring in 2 Arsenal players this week because they're playing United, which means I've now got 6 players in that game. So if it's a low scoring game, then suddenly I'm having a terrible week. But I just I wanted they're top of the league for a reason. They're absolutely smashing it. They're making teams like Spurs look terrible. Spurs are still like, what is it, 5th or 6th in the league, and they made them look really, really average. And there's no reason to think that they're going to stop performing like that because they're a young team and they've got a good manager and they're motivated. So yeah, I didn't really want, and obviously Arsenal don't have a double next week, whereas, Leeds and United do. So maybe I should I'm seeing a lot of people thinking about bringing in Leeds players, but I'd rather have one Arsenal player against Everton than a Leeds player against Forest and United away. So
Yeah,
I think I just need to stop focusing so much on blanks and doubles and blanks are slightly different, but stop focusing so much on doubles and just prioritize getting good players in for players who aren't performing. You think I had Foden this week. I knew he was a risk. I think he's completely out of favor there. Even though he had an amazing start to the season, I do think he's out of favor big time. I think Grealish is going to keep taking minutes off him. So I should have been prioritizing, taking out Foden. My moves have paid off this week, but actually there are probably other slightly better ones that I could have made for the long term as well.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, even though Newcastle might have this blank, I'm still, I think, most tempted if I did a transfer this week to double up on that defence and just sort of deal with that at the time. And how often have we seen if you do something now, if you've got to take a 4-point hit down the line, it can pay off.
Yeah,
because it's got the time to do it.
Yeah, and and I think Andy was saying that we still don't know whether Newcastle and United are going to make that final and have a blank. But if they do, I think I've got 3 United, 1 Newcastle, but my 3rd United is Martial, so I think he would be quite easy to move on. Although with my moves, I've just reduced my in the bank down to 0-0, so it's going to be hard to get rid of Martial for somebody. I might even dead end that striker spot and try and put the funds into midfield again. So
yeah, Notto from Leeds was being talked about for that, wasn't he? Or one of the Forest boys.
Yeah, so I might do that next week.
Yeah, Forest got Leeds, that would be good. 21-22 doubles, we've discussed that. Obviously 21 doesn't look likely now. City and United assets, what to do. Group those together. I mean, Bruno's suddenly, I think, higher up the list, isn't he? Martial, you were saying in your defeat if what was it next week that he doesn't play tonight. It's happened, isn't it?
Yeah, and that Weghorst scored, but he hasn't. I do think if Martial gets back fit, he'll be back in the team next week. So obviously, I've already made my changes, so I've kind of made my bed with that. I guess the worst case scenario is either Martial, doesn't play the full game or comes on, but otherwise I've got Pereira coming off the bench.
Yeah, well, sorry, for next week, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's links a little bit to Mitrovic what to do. I mean, I'm probably going to keep him, but if he's off pens, then that I think is a slight sway for me. It's weird, they've got like bad fixtures now and then they get quite good, so it would be kind of handy if they had one. But Andreas
do
could be on.
Do you think he will be off pens? I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because if imagine Martial doesn't play for me and Andreas comes off the bench and he's got a pen, because
You're surely going to play Andreas now over Martial, aren't you? Given Martial's nowhere to be seen tonight.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll wait for team news, but I don't expect. I guess there is the chance that Andreas is on penalties, which might sway me. Maybe somebody will ask the manager about it, because he's missed 3 now, Mitrovic.
I think it's 3 of the last 4 or something stupid. Yeah.
He'll be costing them a lot of points with that.
Yeah, and if they were, maybe the fact that they're 6th or whatever is handy, but to not take a risk with that. But if they were in a relegation scrap, they probably would take him off him.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people are right in saying that Lloris, I don't know whether he's never saved a penalty in his career, but it wouldn't surprise me because he's absolutely shocking at them. I'm really beating down on Lloris tonight, honestly.
Yeah, two Llorises below me. Brentford assets, people that got in Tony, fair play. Obviously, this ban seems to be just kind of in the background, just happening at some point. But in the meantime, he's putting pens away and ticking over. And they have had really good fixtures. That's one where, again, last week I was probably a bit. I didn't really seriously consider it, but their fixtures have been really good. So people jumping on them. They've got 2 more to go. Great move.
Yeah, the Tony thing's really annoying, isn't it? Because not that FPL is the most important thing in the world at all, and obviously it's his career's on the line, and everything else that's going on with it. But there hasn't been any communication about it at all, has there? And so I think James from Planet FPL mentioned this, that I can't remember who he scored against. He might.
Yeah, but they're going to feel hard done by.
But all these teams where he's playing these games, if it is literally open and shut, which again, I don't know whether it is, but it seems like, has he been charged with like 100 offences or something? It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
It might be more than that. I think it's like, is it 300 or something? It's something ridiculous. But if he is then banned subsequently before the end of the season, then some of those other teams, especially if they're getting relegated by goals Tony scores against them, are going to be pretty grumpy about it, aren't they? So
yep.
I don't know, it's just a bit strange, really. But I think the biggest issue is there's no communication. Whereas if they'd come out and said, to protect the integrity of the league, and again, I think they would have been shot down for this, but to protect the integrity of the league, we're not going to conclude the investigation on this until the season ends, then fine. But they haven't said anything.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's a bit annoying. I'm just, from an FPL perspective, I'm annoyed because I haven't thought about bringing him in, because I just think he could get banned as soon as I bring him in.
Yeah, but then all the casuals probably unaware of this completely and stocking up on him, and pens
and just saying,
guaranteed.
Look. Yeah, and just Palace have scored.
Seen that? Yeah, Elise a worldie free kick apparently.
Oh no!
Nightmare. 90th minute. I presume. No one's saying Shaw's been taken off, so I doubt any big defenders have got a jammy.
No, he hasn't.
Clean sheet.
He hasn't been taken off. That's super annoying, and it's Michael Elise as well. So he of the interview where he's just like, feels good to score goals. Surprisingly,
I look forward to hearing his rundown on the world class free kick. Then.
Oh, that's devastating.
That is horrible at 90th minute.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Spurs assets, I mean, plenty. I've got Doherty and Kane. Yeah, as I say, Kane's probably going to stay. I mean, Doherty probably going to have to keep for a bit because he isn't a priority. I think if I had made a defensive transfer, it'd be to sort Patterson out, especially with 25 blank coming. Obviously we've been saying all along, don't focus on the blanks, but I probably need to do something soon with that. And I mean, maybe Southampton beating Newcastle would be a really good thing to give that Newcastle fixture, and then I think that would sway me to bringing in Botman or whatever before too long, before their fixtures turn a little bit. They've got Liverpool, Brighton and City around them, but they're steamrolling teams at the moment, aren't they? Just
Or Liverpool blank and City.
Could be Liverpool blank City. Yeah, that wouldn't be great. Although,
no.
Is Liverpool a hard fixture anymore at the moment? Yeah, Liverpool assets. So you don't own any, right? And
no, I got rid of Salah for De Bruyne this week.
Tempted to do anything there. They got Chelsea this week. It looked like maybe a Chelsea double, but that seems to have gone away. Wolves, Everton. I mean, they're blue on my fixture here. I think that's because Liverpool's attacking numbers are still good, XG wise, but they're very erratic, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I know that if I don't own Salah for the rest of the season, he's gonna smash me one week. He's still an amazing player. It's just it is incredible how poor they've been, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think maybe it is too obvious just to say it is the fact that the midfield three is not able to get about anymore, but something's gone on there. I think they've tried to shoehorn Darwin in and change their system, and it hasn't worked. And now they're kind of stuck betwixt and between, in that they can't just suddenly revert back to the old system. I think there's a bit of that going on, but yeah, Darwin, when you contrast him to Haaland, I think Darwin cost like 20 million more than Haaland, maybe more. It's pretty terrible, isn't it? So
yeah, although Haaland's fee was a bit weird, wasn't it? Didn't Dortmund have some sort of, you've got to sell him for this much, so can't really compare that. But
no, you're right. Haaland would have been a lot more if it had been kind of a fair market, I guess. But
I'm not. I mean, you could look at those and actually think that's quite tricky, that run. I mean, Wolves have suddenly got a bit of form. Merseyside derby in 23, that could be tricky, and then they've got Newcastle. I can't see Trent or anyone coming on my radar really. But yeah, you're right. One of those weeks it could be sort of 3-0 and Salah gets 2 pens or something, and we're all sitting there looking stupid with no Liverpool. But I'm not too worried about that at the moment.
No, and the thing is, it's one of those where if it happens, not that it will be unlucky, because it will happen at some point. It's just you just won't know which week it's going to be. Maybe it'll be that Everton game, because Everton are in even more of a state than Liverpool are in. But
yeah, just about.
Yeah, I'm not rushing to get those players back in, because again, if you get them back in and they don't perform, they're just massively overpriced as well, aren't they? So
yeah, that's full time. Sorry, mate. 1-1.
So annoying. What a shame. Because that's the kind of thing that it removes momentum as well, because they've obviously got Arsenal next. If they'd won tonight and they could have closed the gap on them to, what would it have been, like 6 points or something, then.
Yeah. So what is it, back down to third?
In fact, no, we would have, I think, we'll be back down to, we might be back down to fourth, because I think Newcastle have got a much better goal difference than us. But I think going into that game, we could have pegged Arsenal back to 3 points, couldn't we, if we'd won tonight, because they've got that game in hand over us. So that would have been pretty significant. So it's pretty devastating goal to concede that, I think, for the. But hopefully we'll just, I was thinking there's an outside chance we might try and compete for the title, but it's probably a bit too soon for that, isn't it? So
come see what happens next week. That'll be another 6-pointer. And then triple captain we sort of discussed. I mean, if we hadn't played it, I think looking out for 22 is a good option. Looking out for 23, City, or maybe even Arsenal is an option. But then I think after that it's quite complex with Ben Crellin, the man to get involved with what might happen down the line. But it'd be pretty fun to not do any of those and punt it on someone really random later in the season. Maybe a Gakpo or something's going to come up, or like you say, a Newcastle defender.
I think if I hadn't played it this week, I'd still be looking for a chance to maybe put it on Haaland again with maybe 2 better fixtures, but you just don't know whether he's going to get both the games, do you? But he hasn't really been rested at all. I guess what will be interesting is what will be the state of things like Champions League next time there's a double and stuff like that. So,
and plan for the rest of the season. Anything we haven't covered that you're thinking sort of big picture stuff that you might do over the next few weeks?
No, it's funny, isn't it? Because I think because of the World Cup and everything, it almost feels like, and maybe because I'm 1.4 million in the world, but it almost feels like it's, we're more than halfway through, and yet we're not. We're not. Are we even halfway through with? I guess with the postponements and things like that, we're probably just about halfway through now, aren't we? But still a long, long way to go, isn't there? So if you do well from here on out, I just think that it's obvious that United and Arsenal have got good managers and are on the up. And I've written off teams like City and Liverpool before. I remember before De Bruyne got his absolute mega haul against Wolves last year, I think I didn't even think about getting him in just because had they just gone out of the Champions League the week before.
City with De Bruyne.
Yeah, and I was like, they're going to be hurting from that. And yet, obviously it was the sensible money was on them responding, whereas I was like, they're going to be mentally shot. So I'm sure, I don't know. I think I'm trying to focus like on literally the next kind of 3 or 4 weeks rather than trying to look further ahead than that.
Yeah, definitely. We'd fallen into that trap before. And it's not like the 25 blanks. I don't know if last season they were bigger, but I mean, we both wildcarded a bit before, didn't we? With lots of success for you. So I think we maybe over-egged that a bit, although I think it was COVID involved, wasn't it? But I think at the moment it's a bit simpler. And the teams that are going to blank is not too bad.
I'm not really thinking about wildcarding. Have you kind of identified when you might wildcard, or would you wait for doubles and things like that to pop in?
Yeah, definitely. I think I learned my lesson last year. That I'm just going to wait until 28, I guess, would be a free hit week potentially, because it's going to be one of the biggest blanks, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then if you were going to play in a blank, you could also play in doubles later. But then a lot of people had success with like free hit one week and then wildcard the next, didn't they? So that could be an option. But no, I don't know exactly. I think that's more wait until 28's known and then plan from there.
Yeah, and then like free hit wildcard bench boost and then take the money out of the bench.
Yeah, wildcarding and bench boosting near each other. Definitely, again, listen, last year I know a few people we looked at, didn't we? Like Magnus. I don't know if he did it that close, but he just had a 40-point bench boost or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think he didn't do it that close. So it can work, but
how's Magnus doing this season?
I have to look. Not sure. He wildcarded last week, I think.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think he went quite rogue.
He's so maverick, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. 43 points on his wild card, so not good because I'm on 41. Mine's bad. Tony Trippier first bench. He's got Lewis though in his team, so he might come in. He had De Gea in goal. Kane captain. Rashford.
Yeah, not great.
So and Son, that was his big differential, and Mahrez. So he's got a few differentials in there, and they're not paying off at the moment.
No, that has not gone well. But no Magnus though, he'll keep them all, and next week they'll all absolutely smash it. So
1.5 million in the wild years.
Oof, I'm beating Magnus.
Too good.
I wonder if he's up for a game of chess as well. I'm flying in the chess, Shlee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm not at grandmaster level yet, but give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I've not played for a long time, I'm afraid. But yeah, when we next meet up, that'd be good.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So here's you next week.
Transfers done. So Almiron, I knew as soon as I got him in, he'd stink up the place. I mean, it was inevitable.
Have you got no points from him at all? Did you have him since the World Cup? Because he got
a goal. Had one goal from him, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Because did he get 9? I think in 1 week, but. He's still a good asset. I just looked at my team and thought, I want these 2 Arsenal midfielders, and I looked at how I could do it, and I saw that I think Foden was dropping. I'd already lost some money on Foden anyway. My team value is terrible because of some pretty bad mistakes in the first kind of 5 or 6 game weeks on team value, and like trying to be really disciplined and not make the transfer till the deadline and everything else. But so I've seen like teams with mine where instead of, Martial, they've got, I don't know, trying to think of another, they've got like Darwin instead of Martial. I'm like, wow, how are they doing this? But yeah, I just think Odegaard, is it the FPL tips email that gets sent out? He was plugging Odegaard after the World Cup and saying like his stats were amazing and he expected Arsenal to continue to do well, and he was a better option than Martinelli and everything. And so he was plugging him, and I was just like, I didn't go for it. I can't remember why, but he's been amazing since the restart, hasn't he? He looks so good. So even now, like it's annoying because even if they beat United, I expect Odegaard and Saka's ownership to rise massively. I went for Saka because I could get there from Foden quite easily, and I think a lot of people will go to Odegaard and Martinelli, whereas I do think Saka is the best player there, and I think if he's on pens as well. Whereas I think a lot of people will think, oh well, he's a bit more expensive than Martinelli and Odegaard, so they won't go for him as much. I know he's still relatively highly owned, but I think he'll be slightly differential, and I just think they're kind of runaway champions at the moment. So
yeah, you say slightly differential. I think Saka's ownership is like 15% in the top 10k, and you were saying before about how do we climb the ranks like that. That's that's a crazy low number for someone that's doing
and it'll be
great. So
because
it's a good move.
it's because of his price, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and,
if you,
Martinelli to one of those is not going to happen. So that's where your advantage is. You've had neither. Well, you've had none of those. So yeah, you can pick and choose the best two, and that is definitely the best two at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. So, so yeah, I just wanted to get it done. Again, the timing's probably not great. I don't think even in terms of doing it early and just whether it's sensible to get them in before the United game, but I just wanted them both in, and it was a 0-0 move the other night, and I think Odegaard rose that night, so I would have been priced out the next day. So I looked to make sure that Arsenal didn't have a fixture. So I'm just crossing my fingers that we don't get any kind of adverse team news before the weekend. But
yeah. No, I like it. Yeah, having 0-0 in the bank. That I was wondering why if you moved early, but that's fair. I mean, I suppose if there's any silver lining of tonight, that Elise goal, like you say, if United had lost their momentum, I'm a bit surprised you're doing that before that game because that does look quite tough.
yeah,
to predict
exactly.
either way, but yeah, you've got them ready for the double, and if it's 0-0, that's pretty cool. And at the moment you've got Andreas. I suppose if he is needed for Martial, you've got a bit of a problem that you've not really got a bench you want to play anyone in, but for a week it's probably fine.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think sometimes it's overstated, isn't it? That yes, it's extremely unlikely that Wolves keep a clean sheet against City, but if he comes in and gets 2 points, fine. I think you're right. I think I should probably play Andreas over Martial just to reduce the number of the number from 6 to 5 that I've got in that game, but also if Martial's an injury doubt. But I think because it is Arsenal away, if he can get him anywhere near fit, he'll play him, I think, only so.
It's funny how things change because last week I remember, I've got to keep $1 million in the bank. I can't actually remember if I did, to or 0.8 to do De Bruyne to Salah, because at that time it looked like Liverpool might have a double, and you probably want to captain him this week. And now it looks like, I'm just thinking how you're going to get Bruno in next week. If they've got that double, you probably want that, or maybe captain Rashford, but you'd have to do something with Martial, wouldn't you, to get that, because you already got the triple.
Yeah, I don't know whether I would. I don't know. I'll have to see. Again, I don't want to massively prioritize doubles. So if I can help it, I don't want to take hits necessarily to prioritize doubles. I know I did that this week, but
you've done that this week for a non double, but yeah, for a double now.
No. I mean, as in in my -8 that I took. For 20, just obviously it hasn't really paid off that much. I mean, I think it was just about break even, but
I think I need a 3-3 tomorrow with Kane and Haaland hat-tricking in both for it to pay off. But yeah, he's hoping.
Yeah, I need something from De Bruyne as well.
Yeah, injury doubt, but he looks like he's trained, isn't it? So that could be.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, I was kind of hoping he might be out, and that could maybe give me a way of getting a bit of a move on someone already and get maybe Bruno in early, but or that second Arsenal midfielder that looks pretty essential. Now,
I think the quote from Pep. I think the quote from Pep on De Bruyne was that he didn't train yesterday because of a personal issue, but he's fine to play.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Not tempted by Ward over Kepa.
I was just about to ask you what you thought of that. I think just because Brighton are in such good form, and Liverpool are not, I think I might just leave it.
And Kepa is in better form than Ward. I mean, my ticker says Leicester are likely to concede less, but it's by quite a bit actually. Yeah, it doesn't like that Kepa fixture.
But Leicester have not been. They've been a bit yo-yo this season, haven't they? They started terribly, then they kind of recovered. Now they've gone really bad again. So
they have.
No, I think I'm just gonna play it simple and just keep Kepa in there. I think.
Fair. No, that's good. Myself, I am probably between Rolling and Patterson to Botman this week. Elmer on to Odegaard is a bit of a tempter, but I don't know. Maybe your moves are going to be a bit food for thought. I do not like not having the triple Arsenal. Doherty's a bit of a problem as well. I mean, do think he's probably better than Shaw if they both play, but I might have to keep an eye out because I think people were saying Doherty wasn't that great, and all these predictions are so good. And I was looking at lessons learned yesterday from last season, I think, or earlier in this season, and I remember playing Doherty when he was like 12% to play on one of those predictions ones. So if it's that low, maybe I will just play Shaw and hopefully get one of those big team clean sheets coming through. That was 7 or this week. So I've got a few decisions to make. Actually, it's quite tricky.
But if you do Patterson to Botman, can you not just bench Doherty and play Botman?
Yeah, I would do. Yeah, that'd probably be the person to come in, or maybe even Raumer on and go 4-4-2. No, 4-3-3. Sorry, but that would give me a bit of a benching headache. To be fair, Patterson to Botman. So maybe it's a bit too early. I'm just sick of these Newcastle clean sheets coming through and actually hurting my rank. But maybe this week isn't the week to do it because actually squeezing them in is going to be quite tricky.
But hang on, if you did Almiron, you've still got to have, as in who you bringing in for Almiron that then changes your formation.
No, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be a formation change. Almiron to Ødegaard, and that would just be a straight swap. But if I did Patterson to Botman,
I see. And
one way
then
would be to bench Almiron to get Botman playing.
And play Doherty as well.
Yeah.
So you'd play Doherty rather than Almiron. It's interesting.
Maybe it's a new kid on the block. Yeah, I think I'm saying but I'm just trying to rationalise it in my head why. Maybe because Doherty's new, if he's likely to play.
If he's likely to play, but as in I mean, I just think that Spurs team, particularly the defence, I don't mind having Kane. I wouldn't really want anybody else in that team at the moment. So
fair. Maybe it's this week if he does anything tomorrow, or it's sit on the bench time again, which is just really annoying.
I think Fulham will score against them as well.
Yeah, they've been very good at Craven Cottage. Yeah. No, maybe that is that's a good fresh pair of eyes on that, and querying.
I think Botman is very, very solid as well, isn't he? Can you still afford De Bruyne to Salah if you do? Because is Botman 4.4? Was he 4.5 now?
Yeah, so I don't think I could. I've got 1 million in the bank. That would mess up. I don't think Salah's on the radar now. That was only this week he had a double. I don't think next week he's likely to have, is he? Next week it would be a Bruno type one.
I was just going to ask you, have you got a way to get to Bruno? Would you Kane down?
That, I think if I rolled a transfer, that would be on my radar. Yeah, Kane down because he's got City. I mean, obviously they did well last season. He got braced, didn't he? But yeah, moving the money around, maybe even go 3-5-2.
Yeah, so it would actually. I think probably what I would do is I would roll it and I'd just put Shaw in instead of Doherty. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
I think so.
And then next week, Kane to Notto, say, and then maybe even Andreas or Almiron. What's Almiron got next week? He's got West Ham though. That would be tough to get rid.
Yeah, I think Almiron has he got decent next 3, and then they get a bit tougher.
It's true. Yeah, but next week, Andreas to Bruno or something would be pretty good.
And you don't want to get rid of Almiron because now that I've got rid of him, he's a massive differential. So
yeah. Can you imagine if this is the first week, the start of it, and you beat me this season from this position? That would be thoroughly demoralising. But I almost can see it happening. I'm so blimmin' peeved after this week. It could just ruin my season, because this is where you made your surge last season, isn't it? After that wild card, we were saying.
Yeah, I mean, but you say I made my surge last year after the wild card. I think I dropped from a top 1,000.
Well, I've still got this, which is I think in some of the old format. But yeah, this is what we did last season. Which I would be good to see. Yeah, I mean,
you say my surge, mate, but I dropped from
actually, you were
inside the top 1K out to the top 9K or top 10K, and then my wild card brought me back down again. But
yeah, fair, okay.
Yeah, look at where I was in game week 20. Game week 19. Let's look at game week 19. I was like 700th or something. So
yeah, let's focus on game week 19 and game week 34.
Exactly. Let's not look at game week 20. But yeah, what a difference! What a difference!
Yeah.
Deary me. What am I? Am I 100,000 times worse? Is that the maths? Tell me the maths. The maths is terrible.
You're, was it 140 times worse?
140 times worse. I know that makes more sense. Yeah. Horrendous. Deary me. Oh, the one thing was on the suspension tightrope, I hadn't realised. This again shows how much attention I'm paying. Is that Saka just needs one? He needs one yellow for a ban.
Oh, they only played 18 games. Yeah, because they got the one in hand, right?
He only needs one game for a ban, one card for a ban, so that would be pretty annoying.
Yeah, one thing I was also looking at your team is your bench isn't great this week, but who have like Wolves and who've Wolves got next week? Because it's not great this week. They've got Liverpool, so yeah, you might be a bit bench thin next week as well.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be super bench thin with that bench. I mean, it's awful, but what's worse, you think if United and Newcastle do make that final, then I've got a bit of a benching headache there.
Yeah.
That week. So yeah, I'm kind of painting myself into a corner a little bit, but again, I'm not going to focus too much on trying to sort out blanks and doubles. I'm just going to pick good players. So
yeah, it'll be fine. Right, nice to have you back, Nick, and
yeah, good to be back. Thanks for having me.
We've got a 2-week break now, haven't we? So we'll see where we're at on the other side. But yeah, nice short one this week. Kept it to 20 minutes. So that's great.
Exactly.
Any last words?
No, just yeah, good to be back on, and yeah, the new short format's working well. I don't think we ever did one under an hour though, Shlee. So I think we have shortened it.
And the behind the scenes we are. I mean the number of slides is lower. So yeah, the prep time for sure we're reducing. That's part of the thing. So yeah, we're joking it's longer, but it's hopefully better fit for us. And yeah, we'll see what we do next week.
Indeed. Cool. Yeah, just an absolute sickener tonight with that Crystal Palace equaliser as well. Because if I stay around 1.4 million in the world, I need United to keep doing well. So
I know it's rubbish that, and we haven't, I don't think, had any great, not this kind of match of the day challenge standard of black box, but we were blimmin' recording, weren't we, for KDB's 4 goals last season at Wolves, and then that tonight is a bit of a bummer. And I was thinking, it would be nice to have some luck tonight in the Wednesday game, but alas, no.
Yeah, we haven't really, have we? I don't remember a moment where it went well while we were recording. So
yeah, we haven't had any sex noises though, at least. Did you see that?
I did see that for a moment. I thought you might have been talking about Gary Neville when Torres scored in the Champions League, but
I haven't got that in my head. Was that pretty sexual?
You don't remember that when Torres scored and Gary Neville just made that massive noise? Go and look it up. It's funny.
Right.
It's from quite a few years ago now, though. It shows how long Gary Neville's been.
Yeah, Torres scoring in the Champions League final.
It was for Chelsea, and I think it was in the semi-final against
Barcelona on the break. I did see that goal the other day, but okay.
He rounded the keeper. Just I'll send you a link to it. It's pretty funny, but yes. Okay. Anyway, good to be back. Thank you so much, Lee, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, everybody. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Back next week. Thanks. Bye.
All the best. Bye.